Ossoff from Georgia is recognized from his office.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to both of our panelists for your service and your testimony today. Assistant Secretary Rosenberg, I'd like to begin with you. What will be the most significant implementation challenges associated with the G7 price cap?
Thank you for the question. We've already worked significantly to begin essentially implementing this with discussing it publicly, explaining it publicly. It's a different kind of sanction or a different kind of financial set of rules than we've imposed before, along with our G7 partners. So there's a good deal of work to be done, a good challenge to be had in explaining this and clarifying it to the parties that would be in the position to take to use it. And that includes the service providers that must know and understand it in order to be able to work within its parameters. We have sought to engage those service providers extensively as we've constructed the framework for compliance, and have learned a great deal from them, as well as from other countries that purchase Russian oil and that would seek to purchase Russian oil. So a challenge we have is being able to continue to discuss and explain this broadly with all those in a position to implement it.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenberg. And my understanding is that the guidance that's been issued, according to that guidance, financial institutions that inadvertently capitalize the shipment of oil that is not compliant with the cap will not be penalized for that. How will inadvertent be defined? What due diligence will financial institutions be required to undertake in order to ensure that they're not facilitating oil trades which are not compliant with this arrangement?
Thank you, Senator. Our purpose is indeed strong compliance with the price cap policy, such that purchasers of Russian oil will be in a position to leverage it, as I've noted before. Your reference to the guidance, the preliminary guidance that we put out, does speak to service providers that may be duped or having received false information. If they are acting in good faith, if they are undertaking due diligence in the normal course along the lines of what they are required to do under other compliance frameworks or supervisory frameworks, that is in general terms, the nature of the requirements that we'd expect them to be undertaking. Here, our focus, by contrast, as an enforcement matter, would be on those purchasers making these material misrepresentations or lying to those service providers.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenberg. More broadly now, what forms of access to international markets or capital or technology that may not currently be constrained by the sanctions regime as constructed are most essential to the Russian Federation's capacity to generate military power over the next several years? Let me just restate the question for clarity. What forms of access to international markets and capital that the Russian Federation may still enjoy, and to specific technologies, will the Russian government and Russian industry be best able to exploit to generate military power, given the high rate of attrition that they've experienced thus far during operations in Ukraine?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. One key area of focus for us is looking to Russia's significant source of wealth when it comes to its energy sales, its major source of hard currency at this time. That is important to Russia for budgetary support now and will be in the future, which is why policies such as the price cap policy are essential in degrading its fiscal basis for now and into the future. And I would point out a policy which isn't a U.S. policy, but which will nevertheless be significant, and that is Europe's long-term goal to move away from the purchase of Russian energy and indeed to seek alternative energy supplies and greater efficiency. That has caused Russia to anticipate decline in revenue, very meaningful decline in revenue over the years to come. That's significant when it comes to its ability to sustain any kind of economic growth or achieve any kind of economic growth or sustain it into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.